Hi, this is a BMW, it's a V8, it's an N62, it's got a misfire. I'm not sure if you're hearing it, the engine is quite uneven, it's got quite a bit of vibration. Probably not coming through on the video that much, but you can actually hear it's got like a boop, 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 boop. And also, I'm actually hearing a sparking over here, and I think one of the coils, the insulation is broken down, one of the coils is faulty. Now what I've got is, I've got INPA in the car. So here's INPA. And notice cylinder 2. If you can see that every now and then it actually goes quite erratic. Look at that, it's almost like it's losing its spark there from the coil. And being in the car, I can actually hear, or actually let me say, I can feel the car change its vibration. It's like boom, 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 boom. With the air conditioning off, you can feel it a bit more. And there's quite a lot of, almost like a wobble over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap cylinder 2's coil with another coil. So I am going to switch off the engine now. Now what you can do is, even with the engine on, you can actually open the head here and let the connector pop out. You should be able to feel a difference and even hear a difference immediately in terms of how the engine is idling. If you can hear a difference and you notice a difference, well then you know that it is firing, but that's not going to help you if there's an intermittent problem. For example, I showed on INPA how it is working, but every now and then it does a so it's almost like the coil is breaking down. It's not completely faulty, so it is on number 2. So what I'm going to do is I've got another coil here and I'm going to swap it with the number 2. Now if you haven't got INPA, this is quite a lot more difficult, but what you'll need to do is swap the coils and then switch on the engine and then open the one and see if it makes a difference. Close it, switch off the car, switch the car back on, and then do the same with number 2. With these cars, the computer system is actually quite clever. So once it picks up a serious misfire, it actually cancels that cylinder. So you might find that you disconnect the one, and once you reconnect it, it doesn't make the car idle better. It's because the computer system has kind of blanked that cylinder off. So what I'm going to do now, I'm having the problem on cylinder 2, so I'm going to remove the coil. There's the coil. I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to put this one in. This is a spare. I know it's working. Right, so it's there, and I'm going to just connect it. Right, so the next coil is there. I've swapped it with number 2, and now I'll start the car again. Okay, now I'm watching cylinder 2, and I'm feeling the idle, the roughness or smoothness of the idle. And when diagnosing these misfires, which are intermittent, unfortunately it takes quite a lot of time because you also need the car to get quite hot, and you want to leave it to idle for quite a long time and observe the roughness values, because sometimes these coils, they might work for a while and then only after a while then they have that insulation breakdown. Okay, so far it seems okay. I'm going to put the aircon on and give it a couple of revs. Because this is now a spare coil, so I want to heat it up, get it hot there in the cylinder channel, cylinder tube there. Sometimes it's the heat that makes these coils show their fault more. For example, I've had cars where the coil's working fine, but only once you go on quite a long drive do you pick up that it's actually got a misfire. And that's the trick here, is that the car is hot. And if I just show you the values, you can see that the coolant there, it's 100 degrees. So this car is hot. It's at operating temperature, so the engine is hot. Why that's important is because a lot of faults only show themselves under full load, or once the device has got to the full operating temperature. Similarly with other electronics, we find that they work when the temperature is low, but the minute the temperature gets higher, that's when we start seeing additional faults. So this is why I'm trying to test this while the engine is hot. Alright, so I'm going to leave this to idle for a bit, and also just every now and then come sit in the car and see. Okay, so it's definitely much better. I changed that coil. Right, I've put the suspicious coil back in just to double check. As soon as I put it back in, notice how the idling is all over the place for cylinder 2. So I'm now going to remove that coil. I can say now with authority that that coil is faulty. Right, so now I've put in the replacement coil, and let's see cylinder 2. Yeah, straight away, massive improvement. I don't have to do much more testing. I can already say that that coil was completely stuffed. And once it heats up, it will get to similar value to the rest. So while I'm here, I can just clear some of the errors. Yeah, it says there's a misfire here, obviously. Misfire cylinder 1, misfire cylinder 2. Okay, because those are the cylinders which I was messing around with. So I'm just going to clear the error memory, just clearing it. Right, over here I have the coil in question, and visually if I look at it, it's okay. I mean, it's got a bit of a dent here, plastic, but I can't see anything specifically broken electronically. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat it up, and I'm going to show you what the problem is with this coil. Right, now you may notice already some oil coming out of these two holes. I have heated this up quite a bit, and if I pinch these two, this is like a steel ring, I don't know, there seems to be ferrite underneath it. This is a coil, so it's obviously there to increase the voltage, so it's like a transformer. And if I squeeze this, you might even see, yeah, there we go, look at that oil, there's oil. So the pencil coil goes there, and this is the engine part, your camshafts are here, and oil sometimes finds its way there. In this case, this whole thing was sitting in oil, and now what has happened is oil has actually gotten inside here, and I'm sure it has resulted in an insulation breakdown. And what has happened is it only misfires when the car is hot. Here I have another one. I've actually opened this. You can see there's like this ring that goes around here, also drenched in oil, also a failed coil. Interesting question, if one tries to clean this out, would the coil, I mean, is it damaged inside? Well, I would have to do further diagnostic tests to do that. Just remember that if you are doing tests, the voltage here is very high. There is a major shock hazard if you are going to be doing coil tests. Alright, so that's just some useful information about the misfire on this vehicle. Thanks for watching, and cheers.